plenty of chairs. Please feel free, if you'd like to have a seat, just come take a seat. But regardless, just step in close so everyone can hear. Plenty of room.
Good afternoon. Exalted, compassionate God, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, whose radiance is like the heavens, to the soul of El-Kach Bat Yisrael Verkurla. May her memory be a blessing, and may she rest in paradise. Master of mercy, may Alice find eternal shelter beneath your sheltering wings, and may her soul be bound up in the bond of life. Adonai is her portion, may she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Alice Rosenberg, what an amazing person. Alice was born on December 26, 1930 in Chicago to Isidore and Pearl Stein, the youngest of 4 siblings. At the tender age of 18, while on vacation to the House of David, she met Irving Rosenberg and fell head over heels for him. They were married in 1949 and spent 71 years together until Irving passed away in 2021. Can you imagine 71 years of marriage? What bliss. And 70 years in the same house. Alice had moved from the bustling metropolis of Chicago to the not-so-bustling farm town of Sodus, Michigan, where Irving had his farm. Imagine what a culture shock that must have been. Chicago, Sodus. Alice had an adventurous spirit with a zeal for life, which she had her entire life. In the first decade of their marriage, Alice and Irving welcomed 3 daughters, Sandra, Cheryl, and Lynn, who brought their parents endless joy. Alice was the super mom, the super woman. There was nothing she couldn't do, and she did everything magnificently, sewing her daughters' outfits, starting and operating a catering business, making the best double cherry chocolate cake in the world, packing pastries and other delectables in suitcases for air transportation, hauling, selling, and trucking farm produce, managing the farm's finances, and being actively involved in all of her daughter's school activities. All this from a young Chicago city girl who didn't know how to drive or cook when she arrived at the farm. Speaking about the farm, one of the many things that marvels me about Alice and Irving was their seamless ability to navigate 2 communities, the farm community and the Jewish community. Not that these 2 circles were totally separate from one another. There had been a vibrant Jewish farming community here in the Fruit Belt. Alice and Irving and the rest of the Rosenberg clan had identities in both groups and found everlasting friendships in both circles. Part of this may have been because Alice was great at making friends and keeping the friendships going. She knew how to engage people in conversation and knew how to make them feel heard. Whenever I talked to her, she always asked what was going on with me and with every member of the temple she could think of. often commenting that she was probably the oldest living member, and she was. Alice was curious. She tried new things. She became an expert at poker and rummy cube. She loved to read. Recently, I shared a new book with her, a memoir from a former resident of Benton Harbor. We talked and laughed about her connection to the author's family. Alice knew how to have fun and to bring fun to other people. She enjoyed life. Alice indeed had a zest for life. 95 years. A life well lived. A role model. Something we can all aspire to. May her memory be for a blessing. Alice is survived by her daughters Sandra, husband Richard Randall, and Lynn Rosenberg, both of Texas, grandchildren Samantha Moreno Sultan, husband Alexander, and Jessie Randall, wife Ivana, great-granddaughter Hannah Randall, great-grandpup Finnegan, sisters-in-law Vicki Rosenberg and Diane Rosenberg, numerous nieces, nephews, great-nieces and nephews, extended family, and generations of friends. And I have a special comment for Samantha. Samantha, whenever your grandmother talked about you, her face and her voice lit up. Alice was preceded in death by her husband of 71 years, Irving, daughter Cheryl Ann, parents Isidore and Pearl, sister Sylvia, and brothers Milton and Samuel. We invite you to join a Shiva service on Zoom on Sunday at 7:30 Eastern Time to share memories. And now I invite Kevin Kreitner to speak, followed by John Spalding.
Hello, I'm Christopher. I don't even know who I am. I've been thinking about this since Sandy called me on Friday, and it's been tough because when you find people that you really care about, and it was a unique situation. I can't talk about Alice without talking about Irving. To me, they were just a match set, and I still remember my first time meeting Irving. We bought the barn down the road from him, and we're in the driveway, and this old fella comes walking down the road, and I asked him, like, you know who owns this place? And he kind of gave me a little gruff attitude on it, which was fine. I completely understand from farmers, that's just how it is. And then from there, it kind of took off from that. With our project going on with Irving, I still don't know how nimble he was for as old as he was going through. I think I've told the girls this story many times. I was up in the upper floor of our house doing some work, and this old timer comes in from the basement, comes up 2 flights of stairs, and I'm doing stuff with the vacuum cleaner on. I look up, and he almost scared me to death in that situation. It just frightened me on that. But then one thing that Irving said to us also was, I still remember this, and me and my wife were there. He would tell me, you gotta be moved in before I pass away. I don't know how many times he said that to us, and we did. We made it by about 3 months, which was amazing. The one thing that I tell the girls that I regret was when Irving and Alice came over, I still wish we would have gotten a picture with them standing in front of the fireplace and how proud we were. When Irving passed away, it kind of transitioned over to where we just got closer with Alice. I still did. I was so appreciative. I was trucking my lawnmower back and forth, and Irving says, just park it underneath the side of the barn. I'm like, okay, so I parked underneath there, but I think a little side note was that he'd want me to stop and talk, which was fine. I didn't do it just because I had to. I did it because I wanted to. I'm like, it was just amazing to stop in and chat to him. What do we chat about? The farm, different stuff that's going on. And just today, I was in your mom's house, and when I talked to her, I'd call her pretty much every Sunday to either leave a 1-minute voicemail, or if I was lucky enough, she would pick up. But when I was standing on the little stoop where I talked to both of them many times, and still when I walk by, I still look at the same spot where she would always sit, and I think about them. And I was thinking just today, it's amazing how our lives get entangled. how did I end up meeting two great people? They took really good care of me and Lisa by looking after our place when we weren't there. So it's just really heartfelt when they asked me to speak about them. Words cannot do justice on how much Alice Irving meant to us. But since Irving passed away, me and Lisa would always call it Sundays with Alice. So we'd pass by and we just pop in to see her. That was it. Just pop in, see her, talk about stuff, and going from that. And then a little time went by, and then we ended up buying the farm. I don't know how many times Irving would always bug me, just buy the whole farm. Just buy the whole farm. We just can't get it right now, but he'd always say, just buy the whole farm. Well, we ended up buying the whole farm. And I think when you respect people enough, you want to do them right to make them proud of you. And I'm hoping I'm doing them a service of still maintaining the place, keeping where it is. And I can tell both of you, your parents, they were both very proud of both of you. Every time they talk, they are so proud of how well you've done in your lives and how far you've gone and what you've done in your careers. So when we talk, and it is, I hate to say this because it seems weird, they'd always say, the girls. And when I say that, they're just a little bit older than me. I'm like, girls, and that. And when I say that, it just kind of feels unique. But I wanted to let them know we loved your parents. They're very good to us, and they're going to be very well missed. And calling Alice on Sunday, and I told my wife this, if I was lucky, she would pick up. If I wasn't lucky, it'd take about 1 minute. And I was thinking about that. If she didn't pick up, that was 52 minutes a year that I'd leave for a voicemail. But guess what? I wanted to do it because I enjoyed talking to her what was going on in the community and the different fruits. I'm from a fruit farm, and I told her just this time, I wish you would have been around because I had a ton of peaches I could have gave her. It's just she wasn't around. The same thing with the apples. But that's just something, hopefully, if you have someone out there, please reach out to them. It's a joy listening to the history and background from them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's fascinating that what I have to say so much correlates there because when I was asked to speak, I thought about Irving and Alice together immediately. I had a hard time pulling them apart. And really where my thoughts went is a couple that not only were together personally, they were together professionally, very involved in the community. And you can't find people like that, as strong as they were to mentor you. They're such a great example of that. But many of you probably don't know me. My history is I was in my early 20s looking for a place to live. Just had moved away from home, and I ended up moving in the little farmhouse right next to Irving's and Alice's home. And so I was a tenant, and this is 40 some years ago. Our relationship grew from being a tenant to friendship right away. Alice would always come over. She always had something friendly to say. She always cared, and there was always a care package on my deck. Fruits and vegetables, constantly. Looking back, I was so young and to be so far away from home, not really realizing at the time that Alice was treating me like family. In a rather short time, the Rosenberg brother farm became a lot more than just a place that I lived. It was a slice of paradise. I was able to hunt, fish, and many other activities, as well as help. I helped quite a bit on the farm. I felt at home as a 20-year-old kid there. My relationship with Alice continued to grow. I feel that we went from friends to family, and do I dare say son, in just a few years. And I still feel that way today. I always refer when I'm talking to somebody about Alice, my Jewish mother, which I'm honored to say. As I became more attached to the Rosenbergs and Alice, I didn't think twice I worked third shift stocking groceries. I would get out of work during cherry harvest, and I would jump on a tractor. And I would work until the work was done, sometimes allowing me to get a little sleep before I had to go back to work, sometimes not. And I'm sure a lot of people know what that's like. I did move on and pursue my career, but I never lost touch with Alice. She watched me literally grow up in that home. She watched me get married, she watched me have children, she watched me advance in my career, and she also watched me just recently retire. Several years ago, we would try to do, my wife and I would try to do an annual visit. Several years ago, I was annual visit, and Irv and I are putzing around the farm and looking through stuff. And I came across, I just happened to notice a Rosenberg brothers old sign that used to be out in front of the farm, leaned up behind a bunch of stuff in the garage, felt like the pickers, you know. And I said to her, I said, if you ever want to get rid of that, I want that. He said, what do you want that for? He was probably just keeping it for a piece of plywood to repurpose somewhere. And then several years after that, Irv and Alice called and said, do you want that? And I said, yes, I want that. So when we were there for a visit, I literally went into the barn, dug it out, again, pretty bad shape, and I brought it up to the house, and I asked Irv and Alice to sign it and date it, like the celebrities they worked with. And they did. I smile every day because I passed that sign hanging at my home every day and smile. In one's life, it's a blessing to be able to come across a few people that have profound impact on who you become. Alice was one of those people for me. It was my privilege to have known Alice and have a special relationship with her. I truly feel like Alice is my second mother. Alice, you will be missed, and what a job you did impacting some of the lucky ones, such as myself, while you were here. Thank you.
What beautiful tributes. Holding on and letting go. Hold on and let go. On the surface of things, contradictory counsel, but one does not negate the other. The two are complementary, dialectical two sides of one coin. Hold on. Death is not the final word. The grave, no oblivion. Hold on in Kaddish, Yortzeit, Isker. No gesture, no kindness, no smile evaporates. Every kindness, every embrace has its afterlife in our minds, our hearts, our hands. Hold on, not enslaving memory that sells the future to the past, nor recollection that makes us passive, listless, resigned, but memory that releases us for a new life. The flow of life, the divine process gives and takes, retains and creates. Return the dust to the earth, not to bury hope, but to resurrect the will to live. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God lays me down in green pastures, leads me to still waters. Renews my life, guides me in right paths, for that is God's way. Though I walk through a valley as dark as death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You spread a table before me in full view of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup is overflowing. Only goodness and steadfast love shall pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey. From childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or from strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until, not looking backwards or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high point along the way, but in having made the journey, step by step, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death is a destination, and life is a journey. We rise now, if we are able, to the cottage. Yikadam, Yikadash, Shay Rabba, Yalama, Dibra Kirate, Yamlik Mapate, the Chayeton, the Yometon, the Chayeton, Beit Israel, Bagala, Bisman Karim, Yamru, Amen. Yehesh, Shay Rabba Mavara, Yalam, Almei, Almaya, Yikra, Yishtaba, Yikar, Yikramam, Yitnaseh. Vitadar, Vitalev, Vitalal, Shemei, Vishla, Rithu, Le'ela, Mikol, Rapata, Shirata, Tush, Rapata, Benekamata, Damiram, Yalama, Viru, Yehei, Shlomo, Rabba, Mishamaya, V'chayim, Olenu, V'yakol, Yisrael, Viru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Amar, Oseh Shalom. Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'kol Yisrael tefel v'yiru, Amen. You may be seated. We have a last mitzvah that we can perform with love for Alice, and that is to take a shovel, and there will be shovels here. Lift some dirt onto the shovel. If you would like, you do 3 scoops and toss it onto her grave. This is a mitzvah. It's something we can do for her, and she doesn't know it's been done.